Speaking of who's got a claim to the belt, you've got Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno fighting for the fourth time for the flyweight championship belt, and I've got Brandon Moreno in this one. It's tough. Definitely a coin flip. We wouldn't be running it, or they wouldn't be running it back for a fourth time if it wasn't super tight.
Right.
But I just think Brandon Moreno is going to get it done. To what you were speaking about before. I think he went to James Krause for like his fight against Kai Kara-France, and that may have been it that he trained with James Krause. And now he's with where did you say he is now? He's with Safe
Saud.
Yeah. So I think moving around gyms a lot in that way for a guy like Brandon Moreno that's already so well-rounded can definitely help him a lot, because, you have your little tidbits of skills and information and knowledge that you pick up along the way. It's like anybody could relate that was like took sports seriously as a kid. You have like, say you play baseball and then you have a baseball clinic at Frozen Ropes and they teach you how to eye up a curveball better. And then you go to this place and they're like, oh, well, here's how you sink your elbow into your stance and that helps you swing better. And it's just like tidbits of information. I think that's going to be huge for Brandon Moreno. But the Kai Kara-France fight was very telling for me. Just how he ended that fight with the liver kick, that was devastating. And against a guy like Kai Kara-France who trains at City Kickboxing, he's one of my personal favorite fighters and someone that I thought had the opportunity to interrupt like this weird title circuit that they have going between Brandon Moreno and Figueiredo. Because if Kai Kara-France would have won, then he would have been fighting Deiveson Figueiredo in this fight in Brazil. But so that was a shock to me. And that's probably what stands out the most, because I think the Kai Kara-France is very legitimate. I think a couple of more steps of improvement and he's up there. He's right up there with these guys. But so I'm going to have to roll with Brandon Moreno. I think he's so well-rounded. His wrestling's great. His striking's great. And he's clearly putting it all together. And if he wins it in this one, I don't know how they could feasibly have these guys automatically go back for a fifth fight. Like, it's got to be, at this point, it's got to be loser goes home, right? Like, just end this shit already. Like, loser has to go to fucking Bellator.
Well, no, I think what's going to happen is, listen, if you look at the third fight, not to cut you off, Keith, if you look at the third fight, Brandon Moreno was winning the fight except for the knockdowns, and that's what ended up scoring a lot of the rounds for Deiveson Figueiredo. When you consider that if those knockdowns didn't happen, Brandon Moreno would have won that fight. I want to start initially I was thinking like maybe switching those gyms from Glory MMA to Fortis MMA. Maybe that would be a negative for Brandon Moreno, but I think like what you were saying, like moving around to a bunch of different gyms, especially he's only 29 years old. So it's not like he's changing gyms at the end of his career and it maybe is going to be something crazy. And he's also moving to Fortis MMA. Safe Saud, he got just awarded for the 2022 Gym of the Year, Coach of the Year. So like, I think he's potentially elevating. I think he's been there for a little bit now, so it wouldn't necessarily impact the fight camp too much. And, at 35 years old and with the amount of muscle that Deiveson Figueiredo has on his body, to continue to keep making that cut over and over and over again, especially I think he's coming off of an injury as well. So he's had more time out. Like his last fight was 10 months ago against Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno fought and beat Kai Kara-France, like you were saying, proving that he really deserves to be there. So listen, I think it's obviously very, very close, but I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno, the Assassin Baby. In a few months, he's probably going to have to get a new nickname. He's 29 years old. I don't think you could be 30 calling yourself a baby, although Wonder Boy Thompson is still a boy. I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno. I don't know if he's going to finish Deiveson Figueiredo here. When he did finish him, that was because Deiveson Figueiredo infamously had that the stomach bug or food poisoning, was in the hospital. I'm not sure if that happened or if that's confirmed or not, but at the end of the day, I think if both guys are healthy and at their best, I like Brandon Moreno's chances a little bit better. He's younger, he's longer, and with Deiveson Figueiredo aging and with the amount of muscle he carries on him, that weight cut is going to, impact him more and more and more over time, to where the amount of times these guys fight, it just leans ever so slightly in the Brandon Moreno side for me. So I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno here. It's close, but I think the youth and potentially Safe Saud on his side is going to elevate him to at least putting a draw to this trilogy. Well, I guess if you have a draw in there already, Brandon Moreno comes out the winner.
Yeah, it's like technically a super lock, right? This is a tight fight, and it'll be something I take straight. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think Brandon Moreno. I think it's better for the UFC if Brandon Moreno wins this fight. Like whoever's writing the script out there, I think that it fares far better for the UFC to have a guy who I think is going to spend a lot more time in the UFC. Holding that belt or at least in title contention. If he loses it, whatever. But like I think he's going to be tenured a lot longer. All right.